Hello and welcome to the number one principle of successful English acquisition video course. My name is Rostislav Kuchevsky. Thank you that you are here with me. And I want to say that you are in the right place and at the right time. And I'm very excited to tell you about these principles because I know how effective they are. They are kind of extract of language mastery. And I know that following these principles, you can radically change your current situation with your English. If you study English many years but still cannot speak well, if you got stuck and can't go forward, and maybe you don't believe anymore that you can become fluent English speaker, perhaps you think that it is possible only for some special people. I want to say to you, please stop thinking this way. As I already said in my introduction video, if you speak your own language, you have everything required to speak English. And these 7 principles are kind of a remedy for people in a situation like that. The main idea of the number one principle is that if you want to get fluency in English or in any other language, then listening must become your primary activity. Well, the principle number 1 is listen first. Let's start from the very beginning, from the day of your birth. Do you remember that day? I'm sure you don't. And that's okay, I guess. Because that day you understood nothing and you didn't know anything. Those happy days, right? Your parents talk to you, you don't understand what they say, but you can feel their intonations, their emotions, and other things they can express. You just listen, and listen. Gradually you begin to understand your parents without any dictionaries or grammar books, right? Because it happens naturally. Then you begin to speak. First, it is one word like mommy or daddy or anything else. Then more and more. Then it can be phrases. Later, you are able to say simple sentences like mommy, I want to drink, for example. And it means that now you can explain what you want and get it. Eventually, you can speak more confidently and be able to tell something, to express your thoughts. This is the natural way of how the language becomes part of you. And this process never stops. Your listening and speaking skills are constantly developed. You grow as a speaker of your own language. And every language as a communication tool starts from listening. How can you communicate with other people if you don't understand what they say? Well, speaking starts from listening. We human beings have 2 main gates or doors. You can call it the way you like more. Gates or doors through which information comes into our head, into our brain. And these are our eyes and our ears. And when it comes to language learning, our ears serve to take information in and our mouth to give it away, while our eyes let us read and write. Thus, I listen, I speak. I read, I write. For verbal communication, you basically need ears and mouth. And certainly many parts of you are also active at that moment. It's so-called body language, like gestures, mimic, your voice intonation, and so on. Therefore, learning English mostly by reading is not effective if you want to speak well. If you start learning English mostly by your eyes, without hearing first of how those words, phrases, and language patterns are normally used, you'll probably be very frustrated meeting native English speakers and realizing that you cannot understand them even on a very simple level. The matter is that the way of how many words are written may be quite different from the way they are spoken indeed. And if you didn't hear many times how they are pronounced, you won't be able to recognize them in normal talk. Even if you saw those words in some texts many times before and you know their meaning very well, it doesn't help. So, what should you do to improve your spoken English? You should listen, 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 and listen. Why not speaking? Because it sounds logical, right? If you want to speak well, you have to speak a lot. And this statement is true. But it is very hard to express your thoughts when you don't have enough proper words, phrases, and your brain doesn't familiar with the spoken patterns, with those structures of English. Because here a kind of law works, and it states, there is no output without input. Think about it. First, you should fill your vessel with something. Then you'll be able to pour it out somewhere else, to give it away. Let me show you what I mean by making a brief demonstration. Let's imagine that this cup is you. It symbolizes you. This bottle symbolizes comprehensible input. Now, what am I doing? I'm filling you with comprehensible input. And now you have something inside of you. You have certain content inside, which you can share with somebody else, right? Okay. Let's say that this cup is another person. This is another person. Now you can share what you have with that person. And when it comes to fluency, the best way is to fill your own vessel up to the brim. Look at this. What's happening now? It's overflowing, right? Well, what does this analogy mean for us? It means that when you are filled up, it will flow out of you naturally, without efforts from you. And if you are filled with the content, with those phrases, those words and structures, you can easily express the most of your thoughts and ideas. You can share it with other people. You don't have to pull it out of you, squeezing it out of you. It just comes out of you automatically and easily. It flows out of you like a river. And by the way, that's where the term fluency comes from, I believe. And that's what you really want and need for normal communication. Now the other question. How often and what should you listen to? You should listen as often as possible. The more, the better. You need comprehensible input. And that must be some materials you can understand. Maybe these are simple audio novels, some stories or fairy tales for children. I mean American, Canadian, British children. Depending on what type of English or pronunciation you want to have. But you have to understand it. At least most of it, just to be able to see the point. If this text or video, whatever, if it's too complicated for you, then listen to the materials designed for small children. If that is too easy for you, then listen to something for teenagers or young adults. something something of a higher level. But you have to understand the message, the main idea. Otherwise, you won't be able to do this regularly, and most likely you'll just quit. But it's not an option in our case, right? Well, find something interesting for you and listen to that as much as possible. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the principle number 2. Have a great day.